What's up, everybody? You're very welcome along to this Anfield Agenda One Football News crossover show. All the videos that I'm going to talk about today and all the articles that I'm going to speak about today you can find on the fantastic One Football app, entirely free. The link is in the description below, and look, you know about One Football at this point. It is, for me, the premier football app out there, and it gives you everything that you need absolutely free of charge. Video content, augmented reality features, everything you need in one really handy, free to use app. The link to download is in the description below, and that'll bring you to the landing page depending on whether you're an iOS user or whether you're an Android user. I won't judge, I promise. Maybe I will, just a little bit, because I'm an iOS user. But anyway, we move on. Look, let's get stuck in. Let's get to the first story of the day. Jurgen Klopp saying not good enough. And he's right, we weren't good enough today. Kloppo feels we haven't been good enough defensively as of late. And yes, we can talk about how we defended for that goal today, how Trent was out of position, how it was far too easy for Lookman. But ultimately, I don't think it was our defensive vulnerabilities that cost us. I would disagree with the gaffer a bit. I think it was more a lack of finishing that cost us today. You can count on two fingers maybe the amount of opportunities that Leicester had in front of goal, and they took their chance and we didn't take ours. And for me, I just think Klopp needs to really start putting a bit more pressure now on John W. Henry and the ownership group, because I understand that he's got to play ball and I understand he's got to say all the right things publicly, but ultimately we need to reinforce and we need to add a couple of new players into the mix and we need to freshen things up a little bit. It's easy for me to sit here and say that, but we all know the transfer windows have been a very frustrating time for us in recent years. Canade coming in was great. I don't actually agree with Klopp that defensively we're not good enough. I think offensively today, or in attack, we should have buried that game. We should have been out of sight in the first half. I won't go and be negative about Mohamed Salah's penalty miss, because I will never go in on anybody for missing a penalty. It happens from time to time. The follow-up, the header, could he have done better? Probably. But today we created so many chances in that game, or so many attacking opportunities, and we seemed to panic a little bit. So, not good enough from Jurgen Klopp. I think that's right. I think that's how we all feel right now, and I think that's ultimately how this game is going to be remembered, because Leicester were the ones that had more minutes in their legs today. Recently, I should say. Leicester are the ones that had that difficult game at the Etihad. We had Boxing Day off. Our game against Leeds, which was scheduled for the day after, was postponed. So it's a shock to not win that game today. It's frustration, but ultimately I do agree with Jurgen Klopp. Not good enough. Oh, really itchy nose there, Connor. The next story up, my friends, is Jurgen Klopp speaking about how Manchester City and Liverpool and himself and Pep Guardiola have pushed, I should say, each other onto new heights. And he's right, we have. But ultimately, I feel like we probably came down on the losing side of this debate, because they have collected a lot more trophies in that time where we've pushed each other, and we've got a Premier League which is brilliant, a Champions League which is brilliant, Club World Cup, Super Cup, but City have been collecting trophies for fun. So yes, he is right, they've both pushed each other on, but what I don't want, and what all Liverpool fans don't want, is to look back at this remarkable time under a fantastic manager and have regrets that we didn't capitalise enough. And the only thing I feel like we haven't capitalised enough on is bringing in enough talent for Klopp to use his undoubted qualities to improve. Klopp often talks about bringing in and improving players on the coaching pitch, and he's done that, of course he has, but we haven't had the availability of funds to do what Guardiola at Manchester City have done. Like, they go out and spend 100 million on Grealish and don't use him every week because they allow him to settle into the squad. We don't have the luxury of doing that. So yeah, I do agree with Klopp, but we have pushed each other on. If anything, we've overachieved and they've maybe underachieved, but I just think it's an unfair fight, to use that analogy, because City have had far more resources than we have. But then again, we can look at our owners and say we should have been supported more, the manager should have more funds. And that's ultimately where I fall on this. I don't want to look back at Jurgen Klopp's time at Liverpool and think what could have been. I mean, the title races have been epic at times. Losing it to Manchester City by a point was heartbreaking, even though we would go on to win the Champions League that season. But my biggest fear isn't Manchester City and isn't this rivalry with Guardiola. It's just simply that when Jurgen Klopp's finished at Liverpool, we look back at having 3 or 4 trophies when we could have had 7 or 8 trophies. So hopefully we pick up a League Cup, hopefully we win an FA Cup, hopefully there's another European Cup or so to go, because it will feel almost criminal to have had this amazing group of players and this amazing manager and this amazing battle with Manchester City, and to feel like we just didn't do ourselves justice. And I can only say that the investment hasn't been enough in the playing squad. That's it. That's all I have to bring to this, because I can't talk about Klopp's coaching because he brought us to where we are. I can't and won't talk about this group of players because they've given us some amazing nights and some amazing battles and some amazing turnarounds. So the only way I can really critique this is by looking at the fact that we haven't been able to freshen up at times. And you know, we're looking at a period now with the AFCON coming up where Manchester City, I think maybe Mahrez, if my memory's right, is the only one they might be losing. There could be another one, but off the top of my head. Whereas we're going to lose two of our best attackers and a midfielder who's only starting to now come into form again after missing some time. So it's frustrating, it's annoying, but ultimately Klopp is right. I guess the two clubs have pushed each other on a little bit. I just don't like, and you don't like, and we all don't like, the fact that we'll be on the lesser side of this debate because they'll have more trophies than us, and that's ultimately going to be frustrating, isn't it? Look, we'll move on to the next story. So this story from Called Offside speaks about the fact that Genie Wijnaldum could be linked with a shock return to Newcastle on loan from PSG. So look, it's no secret that Genie hasn't been happy with his playing time under Mauricio Pochettino at PSG. It's no secret that he wasn't happy about the way he was dealt with and his contractual situation at Liverpool, although we're yet to fully hear the extent of what went on there. But it is another example of, well, maybe we kind of should appreciate, or he should have appreciated what was here. But then again, we don't know the contractual situation. We don't know the conversations that he had with FSG. What we do know is I and many other Liverpool fans loved Genie Wijnaldum at the club and wanted him to stay and wanted the club to give him a new contract. And there have been some games this season where I feel we could have done with Genie's versatility. I know other people will be watching this and they'll be saying that they think it was the right time for him to move on, and a lot of people felt he didn't do well in his last season here. I'm a little bit different. I think Genie Wijnaldum's a model professional who always gave his all every time he took to the pitch. And look, let's be honest, he had one of the best songs as well that we loved singing, and I still sing walking around the house to this moment. But it would be a little bit of a fall from grace for Genie if he does end up back on loan at Newcastle, having tried to go to pastures new at PSG. You know, we thought for the longest time he was Barcelona bound, but PSG came in with an offer probably too good for him to refuse, and let's see how this develops. I mean, I'd be shocked, if I'm being honest, if he does end up back at Newcastle. It would be a great piece of business for Newcastle to bring Genie in, help them to stave off relegation, because make no mistake about it, although they have a lot of investment coming their way and probably going to do some business in January, it's still going to be a massive uphill task for them to stay in the Premier League. And I have a soft spot for Newcastle. I'm not, overly gone on the investment and where it's come from into their club, but I have a lot of time for the Geordie people, and they're proper footballing people as well. So yeah, I mean, let's wait and see what happens with Genie. But another example, as I said at the very start, of the grass not always being greener on the other side, and sometimes, like Coutinho, the examples are there for people. So hopefully anyone thinking about leaving Liverpool now, or maybe getting a little bit angsty, will look at these scenarios and think, well, like was said, do well here, you will be idolised, you will be loved like probably at no other club. So look, I love Genie, I don't want to speak bad of him, but it's not a great look this that he's not getting a look in at PSG and being linked with moves back to Newcastle. But let's wait and see what the January window has in store. The last story that I have for you guys today is around Saint-MAXImin at Newcastle, and the story basically is that Liverpool fans all feel the same way, in that they want Saint-MAXImin to come in and be another attacking option for Jurgen Klopp. I have to say, I'm still on the fence a little bit with Saint-MAXImin. Loads to admire about him, clearly. He is the star player at Newcastle, no doubt about that, and he has got magic in his feet, a pace to burn, and loads of tricks up his sleeve. But I still don't know if he'd be able to make that leap and be as impressive as regularly for Liverpool, albeit of the two players of this kind of ilk we'd be linked with, Adama Traore and Saint-MAXImin. I think of the two, I would certainly rather Saint-MAXImin than Adama Traore for, well, a whole host of reasons. And I don't think Liverpool will make a move for him because, let's be honest, again, Newcastle aren't the club right now who really need finances. What they need to do is stay in the Premier League. So I'm not shocked that Liverpool fans have been impressed with Saint-MAXImin and his great goal against United, because he's a good footballer. He is a good footballer. Gets you up off your seat, gets you excited about the game, but ultimately he won't end up at Liverpool because Newcastle won't sell him. Not when they're in a relegation battle, not when they're trying to put the club moving up the league table towards European places. So I think right now for Saint-MAXImin, he will be at Newcastle for the foreseeable, And as neutrals, hopefully we get to enjoy and watch him play in the Premier League, because he is an exciting footballer. And as I said, he does all the things that gets us up off the edge of our seat. And I'm not surprised that Liverpool fans have taken to... And look, another reason actually that I like Saint-MAXIMIN is I remember when Mane was getting a little bit of stick before, and people were saying on Instagram that they wanted Saint-MAXIMIN to come in and replace Mane. I remember the way he was very gracious towards Sadio Mane and spoke up for him. And that's something that I'll always remember. So look, no doubt that he's a good footballer, no doubt that he gets you up off the edge of your seat, but unfortunately, I don't think he'll end up at Liverpool, so it's a bit of a moot point, really. That brings to an end this week's Anfield Agenda One Football News crossover show. All the stories that I've spoken about today you can find entirely free on the fantastic One Football app. There is a link in the description of this video to download it. That'll take you direct to the landing page. Doesn't matter whether you're an Apple user or an Android user, they've got you covered. Everything that you need. Free articles, video content, augmented reality, virtual reality. No, they don't have virtual reality, but it's the only other reality I know, because I don't live in this reality, let's be honest, although you probably know that by now. Video content, fixtures, everything that you need in one fantastic free app. Thank you to you guys for watching. Let me know your thoughts on anything I've spoken about in this video in the comment section below. Don't forget to drop a like on the video as well and turn notifications on. I will talk to you real soon. New Year's Eve, drink along with me. Come New Year's Eve, 10:30, we're going to be going live. It's going to be messy, but it's going to be fun. I'll talk to you all then. Take care. Bye-bye.